Glance Technologies owns and operates Glance Pay, a disruptive mobile payment technology now live in 16 cities in Canada and about to launch in the US. With revenues up 664% in the last quarter, Glance Technologies has the potential to be a worldwide leader in an industry projected to grow to $1.3 trillion in 3 years. Glance Technologies stock symbols are GLNFF in the US and GET in Canada. Find out more at glancepay.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Jim.
You were at the NDP convention. What kind of reaction did you get there?
Well, we were refused a table. We had applied for a table to be able to provide information to the delegates inside, and we were refused, even though there were empty tables as it ended up. We don't understand why we were refused, but we had a small group outside, and we handed leaflets out to the delegates, and we had a few posters. The delegates, by and large, were very supportive of our request for a panel, an independent panel to investigate the smart meter program. And I was surprised at how many of the delegates who stopped to talk still had their analogs and were very upset by the fact that the Clean Energy Act had been pushed through without any oversight. Unfortunately, the resolution was not allowed to come to the floor. It was never presented. So that fell flat. But the fact is that one of the speakers who was presenting did address the fact that the smart meter program had many problems and called for an independent review. I think that the support is there among the NDP delegates. A couple of we spotted some ministers as they were walking by, and they refused to stop to talk with us. I did speak shortly with David Eby, who is the Attorney General, and even though he didn't say anything, he listened very carefully, and I have consequently asked him for a meeting. I asked about 10 days ago and have yet to hear, so I'm going to pursue. I wish to speak with David Eby because I believe that he should have some concerns about the fact that regulations and laws are being broken as far as the smart meter program is concerned. And hopefully when we next speak, I'll be able to tell you if I've got a meeting scheduled.
Were you disappointed that you couldn't set up and present a formal case about smart meters?
Of course. Of course. But, in the NDP convention, the speakers who provide or support resolutions are only given 2 or 3 minutes to speak. You speak very, very for short periods of time, but the resolution itself was available for people to read. And from the discussions that we had with the delegates, I believe that if it had come up for a vote, it would have been supported. It would have passed.
Where do you go from here?
Well, I think the next step is we proceed with putting pressure on the NDP for a review. Recently, about a week ago, the NDP announced that it was going to be freezing hydro rates for the next year. This has to be approved by the BC Utilities Commission, but they were going to the NDP was going to push for a freeze on the rates, and they were going to ask for an independent review of BC Hydro. They've already had an independent review of Site C, which came back with scathing comments, exactly what everyone expected, that money was wasted, that the benefits are basically non-existent, can't be justified, that the economics were not presented fairly, the projections were poorly done and inaccurate. I believe the same thing can be said about the smart meter program. Both the Site C program and the smart meter program were in the Clean Energy Act, And the Clean Energy Act mandated that the BC Utilities Commission had no oversight. So if the Site C program deserved a review, an independent review, certainly the smart meter program does too. And I believe, and I hope your listeners will help us by writing to John Horgan and Energy Minister Mungle and ask that the smart meter program have an independent panel review. And by independent panel, I mean more than the BC Utilities Commission. We need experts in various fields. For instance, we need forensic fire experts to look at the meters, to confirm, in fact, that they are fire hazards, that they are poorly, cheaply made. We need forensic accountants to go through Hydro's accounting, which is at best been creative. We still don't know where the opt-out fees went, how much has been collected, why they were charged, being the highest in North America. But furthermore, we need them to investigate the initial business case. The lifespan was overstated by at least double, as much as triple. They said that the lifespan of the smart meter would be at least 20 years, when the industry itself says it's 5 to 7. We can't find out if the smart meters are already being replaced. The initial smart meters were being installed in 2011. I've tried to find out if these are already being replaced, and I can't find out. So I think there needs to be a review. Are the lifespans as short for these smart meters as industry says they will be, and as they have been in other places? Also, we need to find out about the cost for cybersecurity. These meters are hackable. They are extremely vulnerable to accidents and to hacking by not only just troublemakers, but by those who want to get into the grid to cause problems, whether it's a foreign government or just someone who wants to shut down a local portion of the grid. Cybersecurity being added after a system has been put in is much more expensive than putting the cybersecurity portions in initially. And there's no cybersecurity protection in the grid and the system that we have right now. And there's no contingency fund. I've asked, and I've looked at the financial report. As far as I can find out, there's no contingency fund for any cybersecurity, just as there's no contingency fund for the early replacement based upon the early lifespan. So we need to find out, how much is this really going to cost us? And furthermore, are there better ways of doing this? If we admit and acknowledge that we have to have smart meters, which I don't accept, I believe analogs are still by far better, but if it can be shown and proven that we have no choice, we have to go a smart meter route, then let's go a safe route, a more efficient route. And a better, more efficient route is having wired smart meters, and Itron have wired meters, and so do other manufacturers. And the data can be transferred much more efficiently, much more quickly, and much more securely through fiber optic cable. Now, initially, in 2009, there was a review of smart meter capability done by a company called Tantalus in Vancouver. And they were looking at wired smart meters with fiber optic cable. I can't find out what happened. It seems to never have been taken seriously. When I asked Hydro in 2010 if they had looked at a wired smart meter, they said none were available. When I pointed out this was not true, that there were wired smart meters available and in fact were used in other places, they said, oh yeah, but it's only for commercial use. When I said no, it's being used for residences, they got back and said, oh, then each meter costs $35,000. And when I got back and said no, in Idaho, per meter, in comparison with the $555 per meter in British Columbia, it was $162 for a fully wired system in Idaho. Then they backed down. They admitted they knew nothing about it and they hadn't investigated it. They had just told Itron, we want a system. What is the cheapest? And they went with the wireless. They didn't ask what is the best. They didn't ask what was the most efficient. They didn't ask what was the safest. They asked for the cheapest, and they paid the most money of any company utility in North America, $555. So I think the investigation needs to find out, why did we pay so much? Where did this money go? Was there some insider dealings between liberal friends and perhaps liberal friends that were on Corex and Itron board, which we know occurred? So there's a lot of investigations that needs to be going on. And I think we should continue to demand a recall of the current meters, which are fire hazards, and replacement. Let's get these wired meters. And now we have fiber optic cable being installed by TELUS to support the microcell program that they're pushing. The fiber optic cable they've brought it right to my home. Let's have a smart meter that's hooked up electrically and using fiber optic cable to transmit the data instead of the wireless transmitter. So this is what I'm hoping. People will educate themselves about these things, and please, let's push the NDP into this independent review.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork will commence later this year. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, you're citing a U.S. report that shows there's little or no cost effectiveness when you install smart meters.
We've seen that along the line, all the way along the line, in many places, whether it's in the UK or the US. There have been studies done by universities to show that the smart meters cannot be justified based upon costs. No place have the costs been sufficient to justify, or the benefits been sufficient to justify the cost. They haven't been recovered. But a recent report that I did read explained a little bit more about the push for the smart meters, in that they are needed and they will be an integral part of the 5G technology that industry is pushing right now. The smart meters will allow the 5G technology into our homes, and perhaps this push to get these microcells out there along the street in preparation for the 5G will kind of explains all the push all the way along the line. The 5G needs the Zigbee chip, which the smart meter has, and it needs people to get these smart appliances, which is basically all you can buy now when you go into a store. Smart televisions, smart refrigerators, they all have this Zigbee chip. And what industry is saying is that when this 5G technology is finally available, and it's not in use yet, despite what many people believe, there's a lot of confusion out there. There are a few pilot projects, small pilot projects, but 5G technology is expected not to be widespread, at least for another 2 or 3 years. And it's being debated right now in the U.S. whether it even makes financial and economic sense to move forward with 5G. 5G transmitters use very high frequencies, like 30,000 megahertz, things like that, extremely high. The higher frequencies go shorter distances, and the signals themselves are weaker. They can't penetrate things, and they can be interfered with much more easily. This is why they will need microcells every 100 meters or so, every 4 or 5 homes, because the signals go such short distances. One of the major concerns is these very high frequencies are interfered with by things like foliage, by rain, things like they can't penetrate homes well. So there's thought that there may be a need to have small transmitters on the outside of your home. This, again, may be one reason why TELUS is pushing to have fiber optic cables taken straight to your home. This may be part of the push to be able to get data through your home through the 5G. I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
Well, something that doesn't work through leaves, tree branches, and rain doesn't sound very suitable for a rainy, very green place like British Columbia.
Sure doesn't, does it? Nope. So the question is, why the push here? Is it because they want to be able to provide better service for people in their cars or people who are outside walking? I mean, so this doesn't really explain why you need it every 100 meters. No, they want to get these into our homes, and this may take, even more transmitters on the outside of our homes, on trees. I don't know, but the industry is very concerned. These are not efficient transmitters.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, a couple of studies that you mentioned before we went on the air. One talking about Alzheimer's, another about damage to our chromosomes. What's the report on Alzheimer's tell you?
There were some very interesting articles in my newsletter I sent out last night. One said that Americans, this is an American study, that the health of Americans is decreasing significantly. And one of the most quickly growing areas of concern is dementia and cognitive decline in people in their mid-50s. It's going up significantly. The report is this is from the Alzheimer's Society, is that between the years of 2000 and 2014, in the U.S., the number of Alzheimer's deaths increased by 89%. This is unbelievable, and the Alzheimer's Society has absolutely no answer for it. Yet, when you look at it from a wireless radiation perspective, these 14 years, this is a great period for proliferation of wireless devices. More people got cell phones, more Wi-Fi in schools, more Wi-Fi in homes, more Wi-Fi in restaurants. You can't escape it anymore. And this ties in with a recent study out of China that showed that exposure to microwave radiation causes damages in the mitochondrial and various genes that relate to cognitive behavior. They show damages in the through oxidative stress, and oxidative stress is something that has been shown in many studies to result from exposure to microwave radiation, and they believe this oxidative stress, which is stress to the cells, causes cancer, can lead to damage. this Chinese study is showing it also can lead to effects in the brain that can cause serious damage, cognitive damage, neurological damage. And this all seems to tie in with this increase in the Alzheimer's that they're experiencing. And it's not only in the elderly. Before, it used to be, say, 20 years ago, it was primarily a disease of those who are older. In their 80s and older, you saw people with dementia. Now, it's not common, but it's happening where you're seeing Alzheimer and dementia in people even in their 40s, early onset Alzheimer's. And now it's not unusual to see people in their 50s. And it's believed it's not genetic. The Alzheimer's Society is looking for environmental reasons and causes to relate to it. And I don't think they have to look too far. I think the wireless radiation to which we're exposing ourselves and to which we're being exposed by things like cell towers and smart meters, these things are forcing us to be exposed to this 24 hours a day without knowledge and without choice. And I think it explains and could explain all of the various health problems that are increasing. It used to be that heart disease was one of the major problems, and now they're worried about cognitive and dementia being one of the most serious and common problems in people. I think this is something we all have to be looking at and be cognizant of.
Sharon, where can people go to find out more information about these issues?
They can go on our website, which is www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. And if people would like to read any of these studies, they can look under newsletters. And it's listed there. I send out newsletters every night. And the most recent study on Alzheimer's is there under October 15th newsletter. I'm sorry, October 14th. This is the 15th. November 14th newsletter. Sorry.
Sharon, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you so much, Jim.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Their website, stopsmartmetersbc.com. If you have any questions for the show or for our guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.